Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to Near Disney. I am Elijah Lewis with Florida in Motion Realty, and today we have a special guest going on the channel who's going to tell us about an incredibly awesome lending program that everyone has the opportunity. It's called Cash to Keys. This is Nick Muccigrosso. And I just want to say we appreciate having you on. And but first, we're going to do the usual and cue our theme song. All right. Well, it's just me in the host chair tonight, but I've still got some good company in what we call the Brady Bunch squares here. Yeah. And really appreciate the opportunity to share real estate opportunities with our viewers. You know, there's so many different lenders out there, and people just don't realize that it really matters who you go with for what kind of programs you can activate. So you're with Family First. It's like a division of the Annie Mac Home Mortgage. Yes. And maybe just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're trying to specially provide to people with this Cash to Keys program. I'm gonna bring up your slides. Slides here.
Well, thanks, Elijah. Yeah, thanks for having me. So my name is Nick Muccigrosso. I'm a sales manager over here at Family First, which is a division of Annie Mac. So I know that's kind of a mouthful. We either say Family First or Annie Mac or whatever. But basically, we're a full-service lender. I've been originating in Florida since 2017. We have a small team here in Central Florida. We're just a little bit north of you guys, up near Winter Park, Maitland area. And we have a ton of products. I'm not going to talk through everything, because we have one thing that I think is the most unique offering. If someone were to ask me, in fact, somebody asked me today, well, what's the one thing I should know, right? Because we could talk about a million things. But what we're going to talk about tonight that I think hopefully will help kind of get some light bulbs going off is our platform called Cash to Keys. So what we essentially are doing is we are removing two big hurdles a lot of the time to purchasing a house. So one of which being the financing contingency, right? So I know that's for, just lay people, for lack of a better term. The financing contingency is basically something in the contract that says you have to get approved for the loan, right?
Oh, yeah.
And now we're going to do a really good job at that. I've been doing this a long time. I'm not going to tell you to go buy a house unless you're going to get approved for the loan, right? But not all lenders are created equal, number one. So sometimes you go to certain lenders and they don't do a great job vetting out your loan, and then you hear all these horror stories of 2 days before closing, there's some big issue and you can't close.
So, right. I know. That's why they say cash is king, and we've been in such a low inventory market in the Central Florida area for a while. And, some of the really good stuff tends to get swept up fast. Been dealing with like a lot of people who, they're trying to stretch their dollar. They're perfectly well pre-approved. They're financing, but they just keep getting outdone by, by the perceived risk of financing. Even if, I just have all the confidence in the world, these guys are good. And I try to tell the seller agent, so in order to be able to make it, look like a duck and quack like a duck, as far as a cash offer is concerned, I think that's a real strong tool.
Yeah. So, and, again, and I know you're doing your due diligence. You've been at this a long time too. So, and we're not, the good thing is, right, you guys carry some weight. Some people know who I am. They're like, all right, Nick knows what he's doing. He'll be fine. But there's always those weird things that can happen. So so there's two different versions of Cash to Keys, but essentially what we're doing in both of these scenarios is we're literally turning financing to cash. So we have a private equity partner, Annie Mac Private Equity. So it's not our company, but it's kind of affiliated with us. And basically they'll back your offer with a cash guarantee. So with cash offer, you have to go through the approval process, right? They're not going to guarantee it just on a whim. So you want to give yourself some time to get that approval together. Don't call me on a Friday afternoon saying, hey, Nick, that cash offer thing you talked with Elijah yesterday. Or no, today's Wednesday. So whatever, don't call me Friday afternoon and ask to get this. Unfortunately, we need a few days to get this approved. But literally what we do is we fully approve your mortgage and we back it with cash. So our underwriters underwrite it really strictly, right? Because again, if we're going to put our money where our mouth is, we want to make sure you're super buttoned up. And basically, you're able to put in an offer instead of writing financing, instead of having that financing contingency, where technically, I'm sure you've seen it. A lot of times, the financing contingency is 30 days, which means I could deny the loan 30 days in, and the borrower
Sometimes
walks away.
45 days.
Yeah, which is, it's good for the borrower, protects them. But as a seller's agent, you're like, well, this stinks. Like we could get the rug pulled out from us in the 11th hour. So this removes that. You write cash on the contract, and it's literally backed by this private equity fund. So what'll happen? You get approved. That takes like 3 to 5 business days. So give us a little bit of time, and we are going to approve you to make an offer with AnnieMac's cash, basically. So what'll happen is you go in, you put an offer. It says cash. It's got your name on it. So if it's Elijah Lewis buying the house, it's your name on the contract. But there's like a little assignability that says basically if something happens, heaven forbid, you lose your job, you buy a Ferrari, you do something crazy before closing,
Right.
that home's going to get purchased. So somebody referred to it as like contract insurance, which I kind of like because
I like that. Yeah. It's got a good ring to it.
Yeah, because it's like you want to know, especially as a listing agent, when you accept an offer that it's going to close. And we want to put our money where our mouth is. We got a reputation to uphold too, right? So we're going to make sure we purchase that house. So I'll tell you, we've had this program for 3 years. We've done over like 1,200 transactions. We've only had to buy the house a handful of times. And it's typically because of loss of a job or, some big catastrophic life event, right? In which case for the buyer, you don't lose the house. We hold the house for you. Maybe you lost your job, but maybe you find another comparable thing. We can approve you for the loan again, and you're in. No big deal. As opposed to you lost your job, now you lost the dream house, and you got to start all over again.
Because we want to do all we can to help people's they get their first choice with the house.
Yeah.
Like there's some people I've been dealing with. It's just like it could be just kind of heartbreaking. Like the third house, the fourth house. It just becomes an issue with like whatever contingency, and especially in that hot market when it was 2021 to like even like into 2022. And this is, but still we're in a space there. So when really, really desirable properties in the best location with no deferred maintenance come on, they still tend to just evaporate off. And if you just want to charge in. And so when it comes to like showing that proof of funds, they have something with their name on it that just shows plenty of
it's kind of cool. It's kind of intense to see it, but you see the bank account with private equity and it's got like a couple $1 million. So I'm sure they like move around, but the money's there. So I've seen it. That helps kind of give you that extra oomph that, hey, this is happening. So that's essentially how it works. 99% of the time, they're just going to close with a mortgage like normal. So you close either conventional VA or FHA loan, and it's just the same as you would always do. If heaven forbid one of these life events or something crazy happens and you're unable to qualify for the loan anymore, which is very rare, Cash Keys buys the house for you as a client, holds it, and sells it back. In certain scenarios, let's say like you were going to relocate and that just totally fell through and whatever. You're not like, sometimes people ask me, am I like stuck with the house? Not necessarily. I mean, ideally we want you to buy the house. Cash Keys isn't in the business of just holding houses. But if some crisis occurs in which, I do not need this house anymore, there's, business decisions that would be made where, you're not on the hook as a buyer. But the listing agent still gets the house sold. And again, we want to honor our word. Hey, this is closing. So really cool. We call it, competitive non-contingent cash offers. So, and I like this a lot for like VA and FHA. So I just had a client who he closed Monday. He was really nervous. The first time he went to purchase a house, I don't know who he used, but he didn't use me. And he was like 2 days away from closing, and they called him and they said he needed to bring all this extra money to closing. And I didn't really get too many details, but whatever. And he was so nervous about getting approved. So we got him approved for cash offer. And now it's like, hey, listen, you're good. Like we're bulletproof. You're not going to, nothing weird's going to happen. So sometimes that peace of mind is worth it. Especially again, if you're FHA or VA, which sometimes unfortunately have a little bit of a bad, I think unfair bad reputation because it's not that much different than conventional. But you know how it is. Sometimes people think, oh, the inspection is going to be way tougher, appraisal or whatever, which it really isn't. And that's a whole other class. But anyway.
I know there is that bit of a stigma there that we see there. And I'm glad that this program can accommodate that in many cases.
Yeah, especially for our veterans or FHA. Sometimes it makes sometimes the payment's lower on the FHA. For your first time buyers, like, sure, you could do both, but why put you in something that doesn't make sense just to win the offer? So anyways, yeah, this helps our clients and our buyers be more competitive. And again, you can do conventional FHA, VA. You can do it for investors. So same kind of thing. If you're looking at investment properties, we can do that. You can close up to 240 days. So if you're doing a new construction loan, we don't do a ton of that, but that's something we can certainly do. And you just got to have 640 credit. So a little higher than like your normal FHA, VA, but still, I mean, it's fairly accommodating. So.
Yeah, I think that's, that's not as strict as some people might expect when it comes to this much money, being at their disposal there. And yeah, it's nice that there's flexibility with closing date. Sometimes a seller will need a longer time. Most of the time we'll say, oh, if you close in weeks, that's great. But sometimes it's good that your company's okay with kind of working on a longer time frame, because when it comes, we talk about cash and terms that make the deal sometimes. And for whatever reason, if it's what the seller needs, it just helps it be the most appealing offer possible, not just from the price line factor. So I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. So that's what I encourage, folks to do. It doesn't hurt to get the approval. And if you can get it accepted with just traditional financing, cool, no big deal. But if not, you have that cash offer in your pocket. So another portion of this platform is called Buy Now, Sell Later. So this one I think is a little more interesting because this is to your point. Yeah. And this was created in 2021, right? When the market was just nuts. It was hard to get anything accepted anywhere. So the market's, there's a little more inventory. It's not as crazy feeding frenzy as it was a few years ago. But this Buy Now, Sell Later, I think, addresses a problem that will continue to be a problem, unfortunately. And it's people who have to sell their house to buy their next house. Or maybe they just don't want to, maybe they don't have to sell their house, but they would prefer to because they have all that equity tapped in their house. If you bought a house in the last 3-4 years, you're probably sitting on a lot of equity, which ideally you're using that to put down in your next house. So your payment's a little bit lower or whatever. So what this does, similar idea, right? It's still a cash offer backed by cash to keys, backed by that private equity money. So for sellers, hey, I need to sell my house to buy a new house. So what do you do normally, right? You either go in with a contingency on the new house, hopefully have your house listed and ideally have it under contract, right? Or else it's going to be hard to get that accepted because a buyer is going to be like, okay, you have your house for sale, but like, how long has it been on the market? Like, when is it going to sell? How long do we need, right? Exactly. So you can do that, or you could sell your house and then you have a timeline, right? We have usually 30, 45 days to like find something, and that isn't necessarily a horrible way to go, but sometimes you don't find anything, or you have to settle for something less than perfect, or you got to like move back in with your parents, or your uncle, or you live in an Airbnb or whatever, right? So you can do that. And then ideally, right, you just do the consecutive close, you sign in the after, sell in the morning, buy in the afternoon, boom, boom, boom. And that's been done great. We work with a lot of great agents who help facilitate that just fine. But stuff can happen, right? If you're selling your old house, the person, as much due diligence as you can do, the person buying your house may have some kind of big life event. I'll tell you, when I went to sell my house and buy a new house in 2020, it was towards the end, so it was getting kind of crazy busy. And they needed to sell their house to buy my house. And they had their financing together, but the person buying their house fell through, right?
And you stack the contingencies on top of contingencies. Right. It's a Jenga stack,
So it was a whole thing. It took like 3 months. It was a total nightmare. I wish I had this then, right? Because then you get a guaranteed close on your next house. So the way that I kind of pitch this is, don't miss out on the dream house. I have little kids. I got a 5 and a 3-year-old at home. That's why I'm from the office right now, or else you hear people screaming and throwing things.
I have to deal with my cat jumping on the keyboard, but I can't imagine like kids, crying during the office hours.
Yeah, but same with like even showing your house, right? You have to have with whatever your situation is, having a house show ready can be challenging. But not only that, I mean, just this lack of stress of knowing like I can buy the dream house regardless of the status of my existing house. So what we do, similar process, we get them approved. We run the loan through the underwriter. The extra step here is we do what's called an alternative value model, where we basically get a mini appraisal on the existing house. But there's no cost to a client for that. They just take pictures. It's pretty easy. So then we say, okay, you're going to approximately sell your house for X. So we'll basically give you that credit in your application. So we'd qualify you as if you've already sold your house. Because normally if you want to buy your new house, you got to qualify for 2 mortgages. And some people can, but not everybody can, especially with rates being as high as they've been in the last couple of years.
They can't make it last that long.
Yeah. So if you don't qualify with 2 mortgages, now with buy now sell later, you only have to qualify with the new mortgage, and we're qualifying you assuming you've already sold that house. So same kind of thing. Perfect house comes up, you put in an offer with cash. The difference is this is Cash 𝐿 𝐾𝐑 buying it. There's 2 contracts technically. Cash 𝐿 𝐾𝐑 buys it, and then there's an assignability. They can assign it to you if you sell your house by the time the new one's ready, right? So kind of same deal as you always do. Sell in the morning, buy in the afternoon. But if for whatever reason that doesn't happen, where there's a whole number of reasons, as you and I both know, that might not happen, Cash 𝐿 𝐾𝐑 buys a new house, and they essentially rent to you, the buyer, for up to 6 months. So you have up to 6 months to sell your old house. If you don't sell it at the end of 6 months, they'll buy it for a very low price, 80% of the value. So it's in your interest to to sell the house on the market. And we've never had anybody have to buy the house. Again, Cash 𝐿 𝐾𝐑 isn't in the business of buying houses. They don't want to buy houses. They're here to facilitate our mortgage company and help solve problems for clients and realtors and ultimately help us close more business. So you don't even have to list your house until 2 weeks after you close on the new purchase. So again, if you're someone like me who my house is a mess all the time and it's crazy and I got toys on the floor and you're going to slip on a Hot Wheel, I may want to move out so you can maybe get more money for my house if you're selling my house.
Yeah, I know. It's just like some people, it's just like, God bless them. They just only have so much space to work with and so much stuff. That's why they're moving, because they're trying to upsize. Sure. Right. And so it's just hard to show, hard to be ready. And if it can show it best, if it's best, it helps us expedite that timeline so that they can get out of your system even faster.
But that's basically, so a little bit of details here. You can go up to 1.5 million first and second homes. This
buys you a lot even in Florida. I know we have a strong market here, but hey, that is still some good house.
Yeah. So, and then it's just conventional VA. So you can't do FHA because FHA has like a little flip rule. Again, you can go as quick as like 25 days on the closing. And if you need a longer timeline, you can do that. Again, with builders, some builders don't want a contingency. So if you want to buy with one of the big builders in town and you have to sell your house, they may or may not accept that offer. So we've been able to couple Cash 𝐿 𝐾𝐑 with that. So this one, there's a little more moving pieces because there's more likelihood that Cash 𝐿 𝐾𝐑 might buy the house. So essentially, you put a retainer down within 48 hours of going under contract. It's 4.5% of the sales price in Florida, right? So it can be a little upfront. If you end up closing simultaneously, you sell in the morning, buy in the afternoon, that whole 4.5% just goes towards your down payment. So it's free to use. I would say at least 65% of the time, that's the way we do it. Because again, I don't care. I would rather you not pay any extra money. If Cash 𝐿 𝐾𝐑 has to purchase the house, they retain 1.5% of that because they got to pay closing costs. So the buyer's not paying 2 sets of closing costs, but Cash 𝐿 𝐾𝐑 has to pay closing costs on the purchase. That's what the 1.5% helps to cover. Again, if they go direct, it's fully free, which again is typically the goal. So to put 3% down, you got to have a little higher credit for this one, 680 and 660 if you put in 10% down. Again, not out of control, crazy, I think. And if we're not quite all the way there, we have some solutions. And I think that's part of what we do. And, agents and MLOs, it's like, we don't want to put a square peg into a round hole either, but if there's a way to make it work and this is the way to do it for you and your family, then we find a way to do it and relieve all the stress and make sure you don't miss out on the dream home. Because I think so often, unfortunately, I get the call after they missed the first one. Oh, we didn't get it. Oh, we found the beautiful house, but we weren't ready yet. Our house wasn't listed yet.
Right.
So that's why
when you look, you find there's so many people who they say, we're just going to see what's out there. They fall in love with something. They're caught with their proverbial pants a bit down. And then all of a sudden it's like, now they're seeking white whale of finding that one again, where it may or may not, be there. But especially when we're dealing with these low inventory markets with Florida. So that's really great to know that these kinds of programs are here. Really, that's a lot to digest, I know, for our viewers. So I recommend that you save this video, like this video, keep it in a space where you can go back and rewatch parts, or just shoot us a question in the comments or in the text here. Just the comment section goes on forever. When you get our numbers here, we're happy to tell you about these programs where we can give you the same boxing gloves as a cash offer with financing. We'll be in good. You'll be in a good program there. So definitely appreciate you giving us this presentation. I'll pull up your slide again.
Oh yeah, so that's my information. So yeah, I hope you guys see some value and you, again, we're here to solve the problem. So if you're a buyer who's having trouble getting your offer accepted, you may want to give me a call. And if you have to sell a house and you're worried about the logistics of selling and buying at the same time, definitely give me a call and we can put together a plan for you. And this isn't a one-size-fits-all thing by any means, but more often than not, I tell people it's good to have those tools in your tool belt. I come from a long line of educators. So even if we're just talking you through it, obviously, we're all here to close business, but to the same token, if we can provide you that solution or talk you through it and figure out the best way to make it happen, I think it starts with a conversation. It's never too soon to do this.
Right.
So if you're looking at the next 3-6 months, it's at least, really this year, right? It's February now. So if you're looking to buy a house in 2025 and you're concerned about selling or you're concerned about getting your offer accepted for whatever reason, or you just want to sleep better at night because your offer's backed with cash, I would love to speak with you and help you through that and make sure we get you in there. So and I know it's a little bit to chew, but that's okay. That's why you have our team and we have a Cash to Keys team that even talks you through it. So before you officially do anything, you're going to know all the ins and outs of it. But the whole point is, be more competitive, sleep better at night, and get the house, win the house that you want, especially in your neck of the woods. I know Celebration there's never anything on market very long. And it's,
I know the stuff tends to go fast. So, you gotta, we partner you, we search the MLS every day for the newest thing. We know that so many people are proactive with the Zillow notifications as well. Sometimes they'll just say, hey, this just came up, let's see it. And then all of a sudden we get you in our corner and we have the offer that is going to be, the most poignant and the most appealing put together to just maximize getting it accepted. Yeah. So appreciate you joining in on us and answering so many curiosities about this awesome program, Cash to Keys. It's got a great ring to it, and I think you got the right brand with family first too.
That's right. We're here to help your family get in the house. So.
Right. Well, so I will, I'll definitely be referring you down to more people. And I guess I'll just cover a couple more quick topics here on the channel and give you a chance to drop out. But you gave us a lot of great content. Appreciate your time. Looking forward to having people utilize this incredible resource of Cash to Keys.
Likewise, Elijah. Thanks for having me. Thank you, Near Disney, and we'll talk to you soon.
Glad we could make this happen.
Absolutely. Thanks, y'all. Thanks, Elijah. Bye.
Awesome, folks. So that was Nick Muccigrosso. It's a cool name with a family first lending program, Cash to Keys. Definitely want to give that as much of a chance as possible. I just thought, since we cover everything within a 25-mile radius of Cinderella's castle, not just the real estate focus here, I just throw it over to a few Disney topics. Normally we have the other members of the Dream Team here, Cinderella and Princess Aurora, but I just want to say I saw this cool article that says that Disney is bringing back its $50 tickets for kids now through March 20th. And we know we're all kids at heart, right? We're all young at heart. But this is ages 3 to 9, a one-day ticket with admission to one park, $50 per day, which is, great. Because sometimes, when it comes to bang for your buck, the kids can kind of burn out a little quickly. And you're like, wait a minute. We've not been here long enough to justify that full adult admission price. And that they also double that. So a 2-day ticket would be $100 for that ages 3 to 9. So that's cool. Bringing in back, getting some value. And of course, on the Universal side of things, they're already revving things up to promote what's happening for the fall season. Halloween Horror Nights is going to be starting really early. We think of it as just about in the month of Halloween, but that's actually going to be available starting August 29th all the way through November 2nd. So it's the spooky season of autumn. So that's pretty cool to know that there's no excuse to miss out with Halloween Horror Nights in 2025. It's getting from late August all the way to early November. So that's fun. Seems like people in the comments there are really excited too. So with that, I think we covered a lot of ground, with just me in the host chair. But I think Nick provides some great content. If you have any questions, if you were just tuning in, I recommend that you go back to the start of the stream. There was a really, really awesome interview that we did with Cash to Keys. As a lending service. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if you can. We're trying to get all the way to 10,000 subscribers so we can continue to boost the algorithm and reach as many people as possible whose dream in life it is to live near Disney. And with that, I'll throw it over to Kim Hawk, the fairy godmother of real estate, to sign us off. Take care. You can always give me a call anytime, any real estate questions.
Make sure that you subscribe and like so that we can continue to give you up-to-date information on all things that are going around the 25-mile radius of Cinderella's castle, because this is truly a magical place to live.